share with you why I chose to be a stay-at-home parent and just some pros and cons to being a stay-at-home parent. So I guess it's something that I never really envisioned myself being. Although at the same time I was never really career driven either. So I worked several different jobs, most of which I enjoyed, and if I didn't, then I moved on. But when I was pregnant with my first child, I was teaching in a secondary school. I was teaching 3 languages: Irish, French, and Spanish, and I found it really fulfilling. I felt it was really good for my brain, number one, and then a lot of interaction with the students, which was sometimes challenging but fun as well. And then I had great, colleagues, and I enjoyed my job. And I also loved languages, so it was perfect. I think it was a really good, fit for me. So when I went on maternity leave, I presumed I'd go back to work and, all would be well. But then I guess I started to think about who would mind my child, and it gave me an awful feeling. I kind of kept putting it off and off. I did my 6 months maternity leave, and then I took unpaid leave, and then I took till the end of the school year, and then I just kept taking more and more as much as I could. But when it came to the crunch of making the final decision, we made the decision as a family that I would not go back to work and that I would stay at home with our daughter. And it's a decision that we did not take lightly. We took in a lot of different factors when we were deciding, and I suppose the main one was who would mind our child, because I didn't have a family member that I could ask to mind my child for 5 days a week, and plus I wanted to mind her myself. I think that was the make or break in it. I guess we were lucky as a family. My husband has a very good job, so we could make that decision. I did look into the option of going part-time, but for teaching, I think because I was teaching languages, I couldn't take 3 days or 4 days work and then the rest off, because you need to practice a language daily when you're learning it, which is, I completely understand. And I kind of felt like I would be going back to work to pay for someone else to mind my child, because it's not a badly paid job, but it's not a great paid job either, teaching. So we just thought that it was the best for everybody, for me to stay with my daughter and for my husband to work. And it worked out really well, and it has worked out really well for us. And I'm really glad that we decided to do it that way. And I'm really grateful for all the time that I have. I mean, I just have so much time with my kids. It's really lovely. And I really appreciate that we could make that decision, because I know a lot of families don't have that opportunity or can't make that decision because of financial or other different arrangements. Some of the pros of being a stay-at-home parent is just being with your child, like quantity over quality, like just for every day, everything, 24/7. And it can be quite intense, but at the same time, I wouldn't change it for the world, because this time is irreplaceable. Especially the first 3 years, they're so dependent, and they're so kind of, that relationship, I feel, is the most important between mother and child. But at the same time, having a stay-at-home parent, I feel, is so beneficial, be it mother or father, because they have that really strong bond with that one person, and they completely and utterly trust and unconditionally love that person. And I feel that is the greatest gift that I as a parent can give my child. And I'm really, really so grateful that I have this, this time. And I've just remember just pouring myself into that relationship and really enjoying it, enjoying, having a lie-in if we wanted to, or enjoying doing something new, being there for every milestone, for her first step, for her first word. To not miss out on any of that was really, really special and really important. And now that my daughter is going to school, she was sick a couple of weeks ago, and it was no issue at all. She just stayed at home with me and my son. It's great. You don't have that headache of, what do we do, if childcare. I guess in a sense, it's a lot more simple. It simplifies life a good bit. I guess I've been quite lucky as well that I have, another interest. I have yoga, and not just an interest, but something that I can work as. Yoga has never been like a full-time career for me, but it is something that I can do myself on my own terms when I want to. So I have taught yoga intermittently throughout motherhood, which has been really nice, and to have something of my own that I can work around family life quite easily. And then also I did train to be a pre and postnatal yoga teacher after having my first child, and it's lovely. It's like bringing, yoga and motherhood together and doing something that I love and supporting women and mothers and babies. So yeah, I'm very lucky that I have that, extra little interest and also work, even though it's not a career as such. I do consider myself a stay-at-home parent, and I teach yoga a little bit. So as well as there being a lot of pros to being a stay-at-home parent, of course there are cons as well. Firstly, the paychecks, you don't have any, and I guess that's something that you learn to deal with over time, working, living with less money. And it's probably a good lesson in life as well, because I suppose it's not all about money, but as I say, we're lucky in my family that we have managed to work around that issue. So another con, and I suppose especially when I was first, gave up work, was that I really missed the community around my job. It wasn't just a job that you go to and you do and you come home. There were friendships, and there was a community, and we did like a lot of fun things together with my colleagues, and I did miss that. But at the same time, I realized quite quickly that it was important to forge a new network of support and of friends. And being a parent, being a mother especially, it's quite easy to do that, because you go to breastfeeding groups, you go to mother and toddler groups, and you meet other people, and the other people you meet are going through the same thing, so you have a lot in common. And so that's, I think, important, to find your village and to seek out that support and that friendship. And so I felt like I was building a new community almost, and it's been really lovely, that process. But at the same time, I guess with that, with the loss of work comes a kind of a loss of that purpose of, I have to get up and I have to go to, and work. And I suppose building the community for me was an important, step into finding a new purpose in life. And with that, I did start to train, and now I volunteer with a breastfeeding group, and I find that really rewarding. It's something I believe in completely, and I believe that by supporting women to breastfeed their children, women who want to breastfeed, that I'm kind of empowering them on their journey and getting so much back from that as well. And it's something I can do with my children. So it's not something I can, have to find childcare and go off and, it's very much family oriented, which is just really, really nice. And I feel like I'm part of a very strong and fulfilling community in that voluntary work that I do. Just before I finish, another con that I didn't expect, but I found pretty hurtful, were some comments that people have made, mostly from people who I don't know that well, so actually I don't really care what they think, but, about not doing, not partaking in society, or I just find it quite, I kind of find it a bit sad and a bit hurtful. Also, some articles that I've read about, working moms saying that they want their kids to feel to be proud of them, because because they're interested in more than laundry and dishes. Where I remember reading that and thinking, wow, is that what someone who's working thinks of me, as a stay-at-home parent? But I guess there are so many different emotions in that. It's probably that person is just their own guilt maybe, but I feel that I'm really happy with the decision I've made. I have so many interests outside of being a stay-at-home parent, and I'm really happy where I am right now. And it is possible to be a stay-at-home parent and to feel fulfilled. Sometimes you have to kind of fight for some me time, but I think that I try to find that balance, because if I don't want to go mad, but I'm lucky that I have my yoga that brings me that extra space and that extra spiritual kind of nourishment for myself. and then my voluntary work that brings a spiritual kind of a nourishment for my family. That's how I see it. So yeah, there you have kind of my reasons for becoming a stay-at-home parent and some pros and cons to it. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please, put them down below. Take care.